Hello, this is Randy. Welcome back to another episode of Brain Break with Randy and Keitho. As a boy, a lot of my life revolved around scouting. The Boy Scouts of America, whether it was Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, Varsity Scouts, or even the Explorer Division of Scouting. We were a little unique in the units I belonged to in that the leaders didn't concentrate on advancement, rather, they concentrated on activities, which is a little sad considering once I learned the program and started teaching it to others, advancement was a good part of it, a way for a boy to be recognized for his achievements. The units I worked with and was part of, that didn't happen. I knew one Eagle Scout that moved into our unit. His parents were college professors and had moved down from Utah to Arizona. But most of us didn't get very far. I think became a Life Scout. And I was 3 merit badges away from becoming an Eagle Scout. My cousin was an Eagle Scout, and that's why I worked so hard at it. But after a while, girls and sports and other things went out. But I was a young man when I went to California with my family. My dad was teaching summer school at, I can't even remember the name of the school anymore. But we lived in West Covina, California. The local scout troop was pretty impressive. They had a trip to Mount Whitney planned. I was in that age group and they wanted me to come. Now, they had been preparing for a long time for this trip, hiking, running, and doing other things. I had just moved in. And my dad took me to what I would call a yellow front type store, and we bought a backpack. I didn't know any better. He didn't know any better. My dad had not been exposed to scouting. He grew up in the small towns of Panguitch and Gunnison, Utah. I don't believe there was scouting there when he was growing up, which would have been in the early 1930s. And anyway, but he wanted to be supportive. So I showed up with this yellow front backpack and what I call a Coleman sleeping bag. Nothing against Coleman, it's just not a very light bag. It was huge. It took pity on me and got rid of a lot of the stuff I had because that was the only sleeping bag I had. So we drove through the night to get there. Just so you know, it takes 12 to 16 hours of steady hiking to climb Mount Whitney, which tops out at 14,505 feet. It's the highest point in the lower 48 states, and it's the only one of the major peaks that you can climb without having special mountaineering skills. I didn't know any of this, but we hiked, and I was a 12-year-old. I wasn't in bad shape. I was just a boy. But the backpack I had was just a cheap backpack. When I got older, I bought some amazing backpacks that had technology. This backpack had no technology. My sleeping bag, it weighed, I don't know, 10 pounds. It was huge. But I was able to make it on that hike, and I made it clear to the top of Mount Whitney. I made it back down the hill. That was an accomplishment. And I'm glad that they had me go with them, and they encouraged me to work hard at it. They were very positive. I've seen scoutmasters and other leaders get frustrated when a boy can't keep up. I was struggling to keep up. I didn't have good hiking equipment. Really wasn't prepared for this. It was kind of just sprung on me, and I was going. And I didn't know anybody. I just went. I think I knew my next door neighbor, and he went too. But other than that, we had just moved into the neighborhood. They said, "Come on, it'll be fun." Man, was it fun. But it was an accomplishment. One of those things that when I became a scout leader, I wanted to share the boys I worked with and have them have accomplishment, things that would teach them that, yes, you can do tough things. It could be a hike. It could be other things. I mean, I remember as a boy going into Havasupai down in the bottom of the Grand Canyon, and then hiking to the Grand Canyon from Havasupai. Just recently, there was a flash flood down there, and a lady from Gilbert passed away because she couldn't get out of the way of the flash flood. And that can happen from Havasupai to the Grand Canyon. About 2/3 of that trail is swimming in the river. If she was in one of those parts, she would have, I'm surely, just got washed away. In fact, they found her like 3 miles farther down the Grand Canyon on a shore, but she had passed. I've had some amazing experiences, both as a youth and as an adult. I've been down to Havasupai 19 times and back. The last time I did it, I took a bunch of boys that wanted to go, and I had the best backpack, but my muscular dystrophy type disease, Charcot-Marie tooth disease, was starting to show. I really struggled to get out. I should have ridden a horse out or taken the helicopter out. There were enough leaders, but I was too proud. I'm going to make it. I can't tell you, if it weren't for the son of a neighbor, he was a returned missionary, but literally as I was waiting on the trail, he would come down and bring me food and bring me water, ice water, and encourage me to go up. They'd already taken my backpack. It was just trying to get my body up that trail. My body wasn't cooperating, but the Indians that had the horses, they couldn't take me up because that was just one of the rules, that you had to buy your passage on the horses at the bottom of the canyon. I hadn't done that. I didn't think I'd need to. That was poor planning on my part. But again, things happen that we don't know about. But I finally made it out. That was the last trip I made. Found out years later why it was so difficult. But I remember going with friends on scouting activities with their children and realizing I could not hike like I had when I was younger. My body wouldn't allow me to do it. It was frustrating. I didn't understand what was happening. I would just sit at the side of a trail and wait for them to come back down. And my friends who were in worse shape than I was, because I either jogged or rode a bike or did something every day, they were able to hike fine, but I wasn't. It was frustrating as an adult. I tried to be positive about it. Like I say, I didn't get an answer till I was 54. I was grateful for that answer. We can do tough things. I'm glad that I can say that I climbed Mount Whitney, even if it was 55 years ago. I'm 67 now. I was 12, so 55. It was an accomplishment and something I'm glad I can say I did. I don't believe any of my other brothers ever had that opportunity, and I'm glad I did it, even if it was with a yellow front backpack and a Coleman deer hunter sleeping bag. I learned a lot. That backpack served me well through my scouting years. When I finally donated it to whatever, I can't remember who I gave it to, the biggest thing I had to do was cut all of the patches, all the hikes and other things I'd accomplished with that silly yellow front backpack with its aluminum frame that was stiff. But every one of those patches was a memory, something I'm glad that I accomplished. I want to thank you again for joining me for this edition of Brain Break with Randy and Keitho. Please like and subscribe. Tell your friends about us. We love your comments. Have a great day.